Good morning. For all of you who get annoyed at my videos, this one is going to take the cake. I'm sorry. This one is going to be very offensive, especially to pastors and priests. I'm sorry. Academics. The only people who are not going to be offended by this, or maybe they will, I don't know, are the people who crafted this when they hear that someone actually is starting to get it, to figure this out. Maybe that's the power brokers of the earth, of the world, I don't know. But whoever they are, I'm sure that they'll either note me if when they figure this out that I'm starting to figure this out. They'll either come and try to help me accelerate it, or they'll come and try to stop me from bringing it to your ears. But anyway, I think that it's fair to say that if I figured it out, or I haven't figured it out, but if I'm beginning to see these things and feel compelled to share them, I've always felt compelled to share everything with people, and they often just don't want to hear what I have to say, which is, I'm so used to that. I used to hurt my feelings terribly. I'm a Pisces. I guess that's part of our nature. We are very sensitive people. But yeah, it's less and less hurting my feelings, though it still hurts my feelings when people completely ignore me. I just don't understand that. But the point is, anyway, let me get to it. It's not about me. It's about us. It's about our understanding increasing and continuing to increase. So here we go. Yesterday morning, when I talked about Lamech and the 70 times 7, and I accredited him to be in the lineage of Cain, didn't I? Well, when I read the next chapter of the Bible this morning and studied on it, and I think I've noticed this before, but I never really internalized it. I never started to think about it until now. I'm sure other people have studied this. It's obvious that they should have or would have. But Seth is accredited as being the father of Lamech. Now, Seth is the offspring of Adam and Eve, who replaced Abel. Abel was slain by Cain. Okay, so it's confusing, but it's not. In the lineage accredited to Seth, Lamech is born from Jared. In the lineage of Cain, it's a different father. But I think what I'm getting from this is that we're supposed to see that, and when we start to construct our reasoning, human reasoning, as to why is law important, where did law come from, what is how is the impetus of God associated with law, or justice associated with Jesus? How is the power of words written given any weight at all? How is it that we could learn how to read and value the meaning of laws as having equal meaning to representing things that are tangible, because a piece of paper is intangible. It's, you read it and you could throw it away and put it in the fire, but having the weight of authority with it, that's my point. Where does that come from? Well, when I noticed this morning, and I've been thinking about the anti, right? You heard me talk about Dave is the Antichrist, right? I'm both the Christ and the Antichrist, is my cogitations. Well, I think that this is one of the basis, the story of Noah, how he lifted up above the earth, that in the story of Lamech, coming from both Seth and Cain's lineage is important. It's important to take that apart and say, well, maybe, and then here's the reveal, maybe the story is spun so that we can begin to understand where our alphabet came from, what the etymology of words is, language, symbols, how we fasten God or attribute spirit to what's written in the words, and the authority of written words into the context of our daily lives. How is that possible? Well, it's possible through storytelling. You have to start at a starting point and weave these stories so that they become entangled, I guess, entwined in our understanding, in our human understanding. And so what is not, through storytelling, in other words, the intangibles or the spirit, because you can't, when I'm talking to you, right, this morning, when I'm talking to you, you can't see the words, right? The words they're like spirit, they're invisible. But the words have impact. When I say the word, you picture a word, a W-O-R-D. You can see it in your mind's eye. That's what I'm getting at. The Antichrist and the Christ, the yin and the yang, the force of what is invisible bearing on the visible. You put them together. And that's what I got out of the lineage of Lamech this morning, being both from the second chance son Seth and from the lineage of Cain, both. Now, you can completely ignore everything I say. It's your choice. It's fine. But all I'm doing is summarizing stuff that's been laying around for years, hundreds of years. And why is that important, Dave? Who cares what you have to say? You don't have to care. I'm saying don't care. But if you care, if inside you're saying, gosh darn it, that guy's onto something, then dig a little deeper, because what I'm going to show you and what you're going to continue to reveal through your own studies out of that book is that there is absolutely a context of the end time mercy of God. Just like when Noah got lifted up out of the destruction of a flood, this book predicts in the revelation of a flood, a kind of flood that comes, but it's not a flood of water, it's a flood of overwhelming information. It's a flood of law. It's a flood that destroys everything. And that's the apocalypse. But that apocalypse is meant to, just like the waters of the flood were, to lift up all of the race. Law then becomes the destroyer and the savior. Because how, Dave? What are you talking about? It's the concept of mercy in the final law. Mercy, forgiveness, and grace puts down the previous law and elevates the new law. So you get to the point where in the human being, new law is always emerging, and the process of this flood and this destruction and this rebirth of humanity and law is an ongoing process. The terms judgment and eternal judgment give you a clue to that, and there's thousands of clues in the book. I know this sounds confusing. Listen to it again. Read the story in Genesis for yourself, the account. But what I think what you're going to find is what I'm finding is the construct of humanity with the story of Lamech coming from Seth and the story of Lamech coming from Cain, both lineages, which is impossible physically. That it's a story that shows you the infusion of the anti and the visible, the invisible and the visible, or the law and the flesh, or the command and the commanded, right? Coming together and being woven into one. And because it's a story of that, it doesn't mean that's when it actually happened. It's telling a story of how we are to perceive our state of being. And we are supposed to be able to begin to see language and law as having such a powerful bearing on our ability to stay off destruction in the future. Destruction in the future can come from mankind. It can come from asteroids. It can come from an enemy. And so the impetus of crafting law becomes, and attributing the power of God to law, whether you believe in God or not, it's forces that you can't control in your environment with your resources, okay? Everybody has limited resources, but with law and language, you can project your power through your words effectively so that you can create mercy and peace, and that takes and changes the dynamic of what your resource ability to access your resources is in your environment, in your country or your city. Okay, I know I said a lot, but let me just throw this out. When you look at the propaganda that we're being fed through kleptocrats, people with such powerful resources that they've elevated themselves above the sovereign governments of the world, and in their little groups, they have hired intelligence. They have used words and laws to impact our country today and other countries of the world with words, where in the past we used missiles and bullets and army tanks, right? Rockets, to force other people to do, impose our will through warfare. Today, the big guys, the real wealthy, are using words, and they're launching missiles that are done over the news with words. And those words are creating division, right? And so I hope you get that point. That's why I'm against kleptocracy. Kleptocracy is public enemy number one. And I'm telling you, we need a mastermind. It might be me sitting here. I don't think I can do this by myself. But we need masterminds. I need help to get this awareness of kleptocracy and the use of laws and language and money to create new dynamics and a new economy. Their idea of a new economy, these rich people, is to beat people back down into poverty, and just like the old days, the Dark Ages. They're using IT, and they're elevating the importance of IT. They're inflating the importance of IT. They're using everything they can, stocks, system, the banking system, good, legitimate systems they've infused with words, and they're pushing an agenda. So I'm building an agenda, and it's not mine. It's something that I got from that book. It's holy, it's Christian. You know, I joke around about being the Antichrist. It's not because I have horns coming out of my head. It's because I'm trying to get you guys to drop the baby talk and get on with the outcomes of that Bible. The outcomes of the book are a peaceful world. If you're going to have a peaceful world, you have to start talking about the peace and the tranquility and the mercy and the grace that are given to us as outcomes of following that book. If you continue to hang on to the warnings and the damnations of that book, as though a flood was going to come and destroy all the unrighteous people in the end time, and you think the apocalypse is the final outcome for the left behind, I did a video and I turned around and I showed you the right behind and the left behind. Okay? You can't even walk without your left behind. So get over it. Change your impetus of teaching. Drop the damnation. You appreciate the damnation. You appreciate the woe, woe, woe. You appreciate the scary stories in the Bible. You do that because you want to get to the New Jerusalem. You want to get to the peace on earth. You want to get to the promise of Abraham going up into the stars, right? That's our children. So in order to do that, we have to build a rhetoric that matches the power of the enemy. The enemy is the kleptocrats and the people who have so much money, and they're taking over. But we still have the best government in the world in the United States. There are still sovereign governments in place around the world. So let's get our crap together. Let's join together, and I gave you the regeneration model, okay? That's a culmination of work that it's a very short presentation on the website, regenerationmodel.com. Look at it. Leave a comment. But that information, that is a way to show you that truth and all of our major disciplines that everybody respects, even our enemies respect, even the kleptocrats respect. Every system hinges upon truth. What is truth? Pilate asked. What is truth? You're going to read it. The truth is what works. The truth emerges. So, have a good day. And that's it for now.